In Babel, we learned the doctor got his memories wiped by Teresa. As a result, the memory of our dear companion, someone that stated intently that we were more than just intimate, was lost. Yes, you could argue that Priestess got indirectly cucked by Teresa. After our memory wipe, we basically became a clean slate, as Teresa intended, so our choice of women had no ill intention. Right? There's no visible ring on our finger or any other obvious symbol of love that announces our belonging to Priestess, unless you count the PRTS system, but who looks at a software in their tablet and goes, "Ah yes, the mother of my children." So now I pose the question, if Doctor decides to mess around with multiple women while unknowingly being a cosmic companion to Priestess, is it cheating? First, let's touch base with the potential women you mess around with. Kaltzit views us very close, but it seems rather platonic. Yes, there are some moments, but it's not enough to convince me. Sorry, Kaltsimps. At least her back is conspicuously bare for you to take a couple long glances at. We'll talk more on that later. Amiya may have feelings for us, but this isn't Blue Archive. The Doctor is millions of years old at minimum, and at every corner she is viewed as a daughter over anything else. Teresa is the big one, and experts say she may have juice for him. I didn't get that feeling from her in the story. That is until the final few scenes in chapter 14, when she holds our hands again with that loving look. The same scene you'll see in any romance anime where the characters are in a splendid background and are clearly intimately intertwined. Is Lowlight getting himself off by blue-balling us in the most depressing way ever? Or are they telling us to ignore her romantic advances and accept her passing? I don't know yet for sure, but we can be like this guy who is clearly in denial that Teresa is toast. We're with you, buddy. Okay, let's say Priestess is fine with the harem. Then, which ladies would she be the most against? Kaltzit. We can assume Kaltzit was created for reasons other than to give Doctor's Fiddle something to do. It's like hiring a math tutor for your husband, only for him to algebraically solve the area of her body. Her true mission involves the Doctor heavily, but Priestess expects the mission to not, or should not, involve any feelings. Just her bare back. God dang! Teresa. Yep, back to Teresa. Teresa is dead AF, but I'm sure when she was alive, she was constantly under the wrathful eye of Priestess. The way she looks at you here, you can almost see Priestess in the distance, ready to burst. Teresa saw what the original you and Priestess were planning to do with the planet. Thus, she responded by erasing your memories and doing what she did in chapter 14. On the outside, there seems to be no hard feelings, but you know how women can be. Time will tell. It seems that Priestess completely trusts you. She feels you've been through too much together for you to truly betray her, and your loss of memory does have ground for innocence, since nobody told you you had a wife. This further suggests that maybe she never did expect you to be faithful in the first place. She's completely confident you'll return to her side eventually, whether by love or by an absence of choice. Towards the end of chapter 14, the Doc realized how important Priestess was to him without actually knowing her. Priestess banks on this assurance and admits the loss of your previous feelings for her is just fine. She says she's always with you, just like Teresa said, and will grant your wishes and shit. The real question is, how could Priestess possibly expect us to be faithful when we're surrounded by dimes all the time that will do anything we tell them to do? On the battlefield, of course. Hodor himself has read enough Shakespeare to know where this is going, which is why you see him stick with Enos for most of the story. In a perfect world, you would remain faithful to Priestess and try to find a middle ground where you can start banging her again. The world would then be consumed by Originium, and everyone else would live happily ever after. The reality is, absolutely not a single one of you would do this. None of you, including myself, could function morally in a universe where you are both the Messiah and have the ability to riz just about anyone. And I mean that. Remember when you chose the dialogue option to flirt with W on the airship and she didn't kill you immediately afterwards? How many of you would bang Isharmla in her accursed universe? You know I want some of that octopussy. That's my evidence. So let's address the ultimate question directly. Is it cheating even if you forgot? No. You've clearly stated you don't remember her, nor have you acknowledged a special intimate relationship. She's fine with it, which translates to consent in my book, which further proves it is not cheating. So, what happens when all your memories of her come back? What happens if you learn she actually is your wife and you've had many children together throughout millions of years? Then that's pretty bad. How would you even pay child support? With crypto? Yeah, that's scummy. I wouldn't want that.